Hi, it's Erica with Presence in Parenting. Today I want to talk a little bit about something that I've alluded to in past videos and I talk about a lot in my live classes with parents. This is the need for children to be seen, heard, and understood. So why is this so important? This is so important because your child needs to know that you know who they are. And when I say who they are, I don't mean, oh, well, they're, good at baseball or they're a great dancer or anything like that. What I actually mean is that you understand and you get who they truly are, who they are in their real self on the inside, the kind of the voice that they hear in their own head. As much as you can, children need you to be able to communicate to them that you're understanding them, that you're hearing what they're really saying, and that you see them for who they are. Okay, so I'm going to break each one of those three down a little bit. So, seeing who they are. The best way to show your child that you see who they really are is to literally let them know that you see what they're doing, that you see how they're feeling, that you see them. Okay, so part of what I teach parents a lot in my classes is something called sportscasting. Literally, you're going to practice sitting, watching your child play or watching them do something, and you are narrating what you're observing. This is really important for you to practice letting them know that you see who they are. Now, an older child might start looking at you like, okay, dude, what are you doing? Let them know that this is something new that you're trying, and so it might sound a little weird that I'm doing this, but that I'm really trying to show you that I'm seeing who you are and that I'm seeing what you're doing. So I'm just going to sit here for a couple of minutes and just narrate and, sportscast what I see you doing. Here are the don'ts on this one. Don't do this when your child is playing with other kids. If it's even if it's a younger child, don't do it when they're playing with other kids. It might embarrass them a little bit. It might make them a little bit self-conscious. Definitely don't do this if it's a sporting event, like if you're at their soccer game or something like that. You definitely don't want to do that. You do want to do this when it's quiet, everybody's mellow, and you guys are at home. Safe environment, comfortable environment, and practice. Sometimes it's hard for people to practice doing this with their children, so practice it with another adult. Just let your partner know, let a friend know, I want to try something new. It might be kind of weird, but are you willing to sit here and let me do it for a couple of minutes? Seeing who they are, that's a tip on how you can do that, is use this idea of sportscasting. Once you're more comfortable with that idea, it's just about literally sharing with them your observations. I see the look on your face. It's showing me that you're really not happy with what I just told you. Again, it's simple, it's short, and you're letting them know that you're seeing them. It's also a good mirroring and reflection for them to receive so that they start to learn how they're communicating to you, what other people see in them. So it goes both ways, but we really want the message to be, I see you, and that I see you for who you really are. Part of this is expectations, and our expectations on our children, our expectation of their behavior, our expectations of who we think they need to be. That's going to be a separate topic. So I really want us here to focus on who they really are, who they truly are. This is who the child is, okay? The next thing, being heard. A lot of times children are not being heard. And in my more recent observations in watching the dynamics playing out with parents and children, I really think that parents think that they are listening to their child. I really think that they believe that they're really hearing what their child is trying to say to them. But what I've noticed is two things happening. One, the parent becomes uncomfortable when the child is sharing with them something and cuts them off. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to worry about that. Don't worry about that. We don't have to go into that. And literally cuts the child off when they're like mid-sentence. Another thing that I've seen happen is that the child says one thing and the parent hears something completely different. Words that were never said, meanings that were never um, stated, that these are things that are kind of going through the parent's own filter in their own mind, and it's creating some kind of story about what their child has just said to them. The important thing here is to really hear what the child is saying to you. So, how do we do that? The best way to do that, I talk about in the Breakthrough Parenting, is called receptive listening. In other schools of thought and other psychological terms, sometimes it's called checking back. What you want to do is the child will tell you something, and then you will repeat back to the child what you just heard. You will say, okay, I just heard you say, and you repeat back literally what you heard them say. It doesn't necessarily have to be word for word, but get as close as possible and then check with them. Is that what you were trying to tell me? Best way, hands down, exercise. Some of you who have been in couples therapy might recognize this one. It is an exercise, but this is the best way for your child to start to feel heard and for you to practice actually hearing what your child is telling you instead of what you think they're saying. I think there's so much of our own stuff gets caught up in that sometimes, and it's hard for us to stop. So use this exercise, try it out. Again, if it's hard for you to do this with your child, try it with your partner, try it with a friend, but get into this idea of really listening to what they're saying and then repeating back, checking back, repeating back what you heard and asking them, is this what you were trying to tell me? Once you've done this exercise and now you're in the habit, just like with the seeing, you're in now the habit of actually checking back. The feedback you've gotten is that yes, you're hearing me correctly, or no, you're not really listening to me, and so we've worked on it. Then you can kind of just do it little bits here and there, but you're still letting the child know that they are heard, and now you're actually really hearing them. You might learn some things about your child that you didn't know before. Okay? Understood kind of encompasses both of these things, but is just as, if not more important, in that this is the big one, and when we really have to take our own stuff and put it to the side. When we look at another human being and we look at their experience, so many times people will go and say, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel." No, you don't. You don't know really how any other person feels because they have a whole life history of different experiences that you don't. You know how you felt when something similar happened to you, or you can imagine how you would feel, but you don't know exactly how another person feels. And this applies to children as well. So, kind of coming from the idea when you're watching them that you know exactly how that feels to them, that you understand exactly what they are going through, I want you guys to check yourself on that one. Because a lot of times your unconscious stuff from your own childhood is kind of coloring and mixing in and kind of filtering what you're actually seeing in your child or with your child. So we have to step back. We have to take our own stuff out of it. And in order to really understand what our child is going through and who that child is, we're going to have to really peel away our expectations, peel away our own stuff, and really see them in the raw for who they are. See them, hear them, really hear their voice, really hear what their experience of life is like for them. And then once you're able to put your own stuff aside, then you can start to really understand who your child is as a separate yet connected being in your life. Okay? It doesn't mean that they're not connected to you if you separate yourself from them. It actually means that you will probably be able to be more connected to them if you separate your own stuff out as much as possible. How do you do that? You work with yourself. You can talk to friends. There are many, many, many people out there who have courses, who have lectures, who have videos about checking your own stuff. You can go to a therapist. You can go to a parenting coach. You can definitely learn to meditate, is another way to check in. There are many, many different ways that you can learn to pull apart this relationship with your child and have yourself and them be separate yet still connected. And if it's something that you're interested in learning about a little bit more, I'm happy to do more of these videos and break it down. I think for now, we've come to a good part in this one that your child needs to be seen, heard, and understood. Fact. How you can do it: to see them, start really observing and try the sportscasting. To hear them, really work on your listening skills, put your own voice on pause inside your head, stop talking and actually listen to what they're saying and then check back with them. Okay? Do that a lot of times to make sure your muscle of hearing is actually working, so that they are seen, heard, and then understood is a lot of your own work of parceling out who you are, who they are, what's your stuff, what's their stuff, and then working in the seeing and the hearing so that your relationship can be more connected with this separate human being that, yes, you are in charge and in care of as a steward of their life, as someone who is going to provide the environment for them to grow up to be the best them that they can be. Okay, remember that it's not about they're going to grow up to be who you want them to be. That's what messes all this stuff up. If that's what's happening, they're not being seen, heard, or understood. This is about them growing up to be the best them that they can be, and your job as a parent to help make that happen. All right, I hope this was helpful. Check in with me, leave a comment here, ask me your questions about what's going on in your family. I'm happy to answer them and work with all of this material to make it real and useful for you and your family. All right, take care.